So, you are headed on a hunting trip to Africa. That is awesome. Congratulations. I'm sure you are excited. One of the things, assuming that you're going to be hunting with a rifle, that you'll want to know is, do I take my own or do I rent one from my outfitter when I get there? Well, there are pros and cons to both, and let's talk about those so that you can make an informed decision. First, is it a hassle to take your own firearm? Well, the short answer is, yeah, it's always going to be more of a hassle to take your own firearm than to simply show up in camp and have the outfitter just hand you one of theirs, right? On the other side of the coin, it is your rifle, right? There's something exciting about hunting with your own rifle in Africa. So is it a hassle? Is it worth it to take your own? Well, first, there are companies that you can pay to take you through the entire process. They'll help you fill out the paperwork, they'll meet you at the airport, they'll take you to the police service, and they will walk you through the entire thing and get you out the door and make it very simple. There are other folks who want to know, is it really worth it to pay that, or can I do it myself? Well, you absolutely can do it yourself. It just takes a couple of forms, and you can do that very simply. From the U.S., the first form you need is Customs Form 4457. This is a very simple form where you simply list out the equipment that you are taking with you. They sign it and stamp it, and you're on your way. Now, the way you do that is, one, you can go to their office and get that form, fill it out there, or you can download it beforehand, fill it out, and then take it to the office. They'll compare the items on your list, and in particular, they will compare the serial number on your firearm to what you actually have there, so you do need to take your firearm with you. Then they'll sign it and stamp it. That gives you proof of ownership of that equipment. That helps you get into the African country that you are flying to, helps you get back out, and then back into the United States without having to pay duty on that equipment because you have the proof of ownership. Now, in South Africa, for example, where I'm going in a couple of months, you also need the SAPS 520 form. This is the South African Police Service form. It allows you to import the gun into the country for the time of your hunt and then back out of the country once you leave. Simple process, simple form. You can do it yourself, or again, you can pay somebody else that's a pro that's willing and very, very able to do that for you. So that's the first thing, is whether it's a hassle. Second thing you'll want to know is about cost. So if you rent a gun in South Africa, it's going to be generally between $25 and $35 per day per rifle, plus about $3 to $4 per round for every round that you shoot. So you can simply add up the number of days you're going to be there, the number of rounds you expect to shoot between practice and in hunting, and there you've got a pretty good feel for what it's going to cost if you rent one of theirs. Now, if you're going to take your own, there are a few things that you need to be concerned about. One is that a typical large rifle case that's airline approved is going to be over the maximum size limit for checked bags. We're going to talk about that in more detail in a few minutes. But if you decide to take that with you, you will be charged the oversized baggage charge. For the airline that I am taking, that is $200 extra. I didn't really want to pay that, so I decided to find a way around it, which we'll also talk about in just a few minutes. Second is, when you get to Africa, you need to be sure that any airlines you fly within Africa will also carry your firearms. Some will not. Others, such as one that I'm flying within South Africa, will carry it, but they do charge a firearms loading fee for each direction that you go. I'll be flying between Johannesburg and Port Elizabeth. They'll charge $40 US each direction. So $80 total for me to fly my firearms within South Africa. All of the other forms, the US and the South African SAPS 520, cost nothing. There's no charge for that process on either side if you do it yourself. So don't pay anybody to do it when you get there because it's free. Now, the second thing that you need to know about, and that we want to talk about now, is that excess or oversized baggage fee. This is my standard airline approved 2-gun carrying case. This happens to be the Cabela's Armor Xtreme case. Now, keep in mind, I'm not sponsored by any of the brands that you see in this video. They just happen to work for me. I like them, and so I'm showing them to you. This case, the only problem I have with it and with many other cases that are similar size is simply that they exceed the maximum free checked bag size for most airlines. In my airline's case, when you measure the length plus the width plus the depth, the maximum size limit is 62 total inches. This one is simply bigger than that. And so I'm going to show you how I take what I've got here inside, which happens to be my rifle. This is a CVA Cascade in 6.5 Creedmoor. I've got a Vortex scope. I've got my binoculars. You can see I've got spaces for other things as well in here. Small spotting scope, tripod, etc. But again, they just don't fit within the size limit for that free baggage. So I'm going to show you a little trick that's going to save you and me $200 on this trip. Stick with me. All I do is simply remove 2 bolts to separate the stock from the action. And voila, now I've got 2 smaller pieces. Now watch how I'm going to make that work. This is an Ilar brand case I bought straight off Amazon for $144. This is 38 inches long and fits well within the maximum size limit for free checked baggage. I've already got this one set up for my gun, so I'm going to show you how this works. Simply take the separate stock, place it there, the action, right here. I've got room for the bolt, a few other things, knives, etc. in here as well. And voila, we've got a case that now fits within those maximum free checked baggage size limits. So another couple things that I really like about this particular Ilar case, one is you can get it in a lot of colors. I happen to really like the white. Another thing is this seems to be just as tough as any of the other brands that I've looked at. And the third thing that I really like about this is this particular case happens to have wheels. That way you can wheel it through those long concourses rather than having to carry it. A real plus for me. So you might be saying a couple of things to yourself. One is, if I do it that way, I'm going to have to put my gun back together and then re-sight it back in once I get to Africa. Well, that's true, but it's only 2 bolts, and you are going to have to re-sight your rifle back in anyway after all that travel to make sure that it's spot on once you get there. The second thing you might be thinking is the savings were really not that big. $200 for the oversized bag fee versus $144 for this case. Well, that's true as well. But for $144, I'm going to be using this case for the rest of my life. That $200 oversized bag fee I paid to the airline, that's gone. So, I hope that you enjoyed these tips. Please like and subscribe this video, and we'll see you again soon.